Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you might be in the world. Welcome once again to another show of Safari Live, coming to you live from Djuma in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. We have got a wonderful elephant bull, but before we carry on with that, welcome. My name is Steve Falconbridge, and on camera I've got Senzo. I'd like to welcome all the viewers, and specifically the school from the elementary. My word, how did I forget the name? Dinwoody Elementary. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I believe your topic this afternoon is predators and prey. Please feel free to send through your questions with your teacher. She'll send them through. Ask us anything you like. We're going to be spending the afternoon out just seeing what we can find, seeing what we can talk about with regards to the big, the small, the hairy, and the deadly. At the moment, though, we have got an elephant on the left, but I'm just going to have to move up a bit because he's moved off a little bit into the shade. There's a question. We'd like to know, what are baby elephants called? And they are called calves. I don't think the mothers have got a specific name for them, but we taxonomically call them calves, just like a cow. But here we have a decent sized elephant bull. He is busy feeding. I have just got back from the Masai Mara, and it is wonderful to be back down in South Africa. We've had some rain. It is the wet season. The temperature at the moment is about 29 degrees Celsius. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you can see what he's doing, in the greenness, tall trees, we're just below a drainage line, just below a dam here. So there's lots and lots of fresh green grass that's been brought up by the rain. Just in the last few days, or the last couple of weeks, should I say, we've received a nice amount of rain. I need to check on the figures. I don't think there's a set number, but I'll have to find out exactly what. But the elephant is loving it. He's feeding on just grass, using that very, very dexterous trunk for ripping up the grass. He needs to feed on about 300 pounds of food every single day. Can you imagine 300 pounds of food every single day? But we're going to move on from this elephant shortly. We're going to be heading out this afternoon looking for predators. Hopefully we'll find you a leopard. And while we do so, we're going to go to my friend Taylor, who I believe is also back from leave, and she is on foot.
I am indeed on foot out in the bush, which is something that I have not done for a couple of months, which is really quite cool. Hello everybody from Dinwoody Elementary. My name is Taylor, and I'm very happy to have chats with you today. And behind the camera, bringing you all the most amazing footage, is David. And you've probably never been on a bushwalk before, which is, I think, quite exciting. It's also quite dangerous. You know that elephant that Steve just saw? He could be anywhere around here, and there could be a whole lot more as well. So that's one of the things we're going to try and find today, is we're going to creep and sneak and be as quiet as we can when we see some of the bigger animals. But that's not all you can see on a bushwalk. You can see plants, we can look for insects. Who likes spiders? I bet some of the boys in the class like spiders. Maybe we'll try and find some of those for you. And for the girls, what about some pretty flowers, or perhaps some fruits? We'll talk about all sorts of different things. Now, something that I've got around my neck that's very important when you go out on a bushwalk is a pair of binoculars. Now, you can use them to spot things in the distance. Very important, because if you think it's an elephant, it could also be a rock or a termite mound, but you'd rather it be a rock or a termite mound instead of an elephant, or maybe even a hippo or a buffalo. You don't want to be surprising the animals. That's the most important thing. So we're going to use these, but you may notice I got into a lot of trouble from my dear mom. I apologize, I keep turning the volume button down, because I left my binocular straps at home on my bed. So I had to make some out of some tape, which is not very nice, is it? But there's something out here that we can use to make some cool straps. So we're going to weave our own straps today. Well, we're going to try. And you can actually make it from this big tree over here. It's called a silver cluster leaf tree. But we need to find a small one, because that bark is very hard and tough, and I'm not going to be able to weave anything with that. But the weaving man Rexon, you may see down over there, you see him? He's got a big gun too, but that's just for an absolute emergency. We don't ever really have to use them. So he's really the king at making sort of straps and things. We'll ask him for help. But there's somebody else you haven't met this afternoon, and he's also going to be racing around looking for things with spots or perhaps big manes, and that's Scott. Let's go say hello to him.
Yes, there is another vehicle out, and we are working a different area to where Steve and Taylor are, and we've got lucky and found a few antelope. The one we're looking at here with the chocolate brown body with the white stripes is called an Inyala, and he was busy relaxing in the shade. Like Steve said, it's a hot, hot afternoon here in the Sabi sands of South Africa, and perfect weather for Taylor to be taking it easy and building a binocular strap. I look forward to seeing how that turns out, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. My name is Scott Dyson, and I'm teamed up with Seb on camera. Both of us are back from a wonderful 2-week holiday, so we're looking forward to going out and seeing what's happening here on Djuma. Because we have been away for a while, we're not too sure of exactly what have been moving and hiding, and what the leopards have been up to, and what the lions have been up to. So we're looking forward to, like I say, driving around and seeing what clues we can find as we go along. Now, we saw the Inyala a little bit earlier, and there's a lot more antelope around us here. The most numerous antelope that we see here, called the Impala. And all different shapes and sizes. You'll notice some of these individuals have tiny little horns poking out of their heads. So there's some young males, there's some mothers, there's some sisters, a mixed herd. That looks like a mommy over there. She doesn't have any horns. And they're very clever to be sticking together, because having so many impala in one area, all listening, like you can see that one listening very intently, making sure nothing's sneaking up on them, it helps them with safety in numbers. So it would be very, very difficult for a leopard or a lion to sneak up on any of these impalas, simply because there are so many of them keeping a beady, beady eye out. Oh, Sherman, you were just asking who wants to eat impalas, and sadly for impalas, they are on the menu of most of the predators. And the reason why, Sherman, is because they're not very big, and it's quite easy to overpower them. So even the small predators like female leopard will be able to take down an adult male impala. They're a little bit quick for lions, but lions also do like feeding on them. So do wild dogs, so do hyena, and even some of the smaller cats like serval and caracal will feed on the baby impala. Wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to keep racing around in the vehicle and see what we can find you. And it sounds like Taylor's found something interesting creeping and crawling about on her walk.
Now, I bet you're looking at this thinking, Taylor, why are you showing us some bird droppings? And that's what it looks like, doesn't it? But it isn't. It is, in fact, an insect. It's a little creepy crawly. Now, the wind is blowing around and I seem to have the shakes today. But that is a caterpillar of sorts, and I think its head is actually to the right, that little pointy bit. Well, I can't tell the front from the back at the moment. It's quite difficult. Now, the reason why this little creature has got this camouflage is because it can't just sit out in the open, and a bird's not going to think that it's a worm, because we know that birds like to eat worms. There's lots of other things that like to eat worms out here too. So it's got a natural camouflage, which is really cool, in the shape of a bird dropping. I'm kind of happy that I don't look like a bird dropping walking around. Can you imagine how funny that would be? But it's eating. What have we got here? Looks like a bush willow of some sort. I need to learn all my trees again in South Africa, because I've just come back from Kenya. But it's incredible. And I'm trying to work out if it's oh my goodness, so all of that sort of fluff, it's not really fluff though. It almost looks like bits of dirt and stuff that's on there. That's actually part of its body, because I know that there are some insects out here that will pick up dirt and put it on their body. David, I've seen something else at your feet. And it's coming in hot. Look at this. It was coming to get you, David. Now it's gone. It was a big tick. Now, I think what that tick was trying to do was to climb up David's feet and into his legs. Where did it go? I can't believe it was huge. It might have been trying to crawl up this piece of grass, because normally what ticks do is they sit up on the... There it is. Got it. It's racing towards you. Can you see it? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So they come up to the blades of grass. I'm going to be brave and see if I can catch it on a stick. Oh, it's going to your feet again. And then as the animals walk past, kind of like when we would walk through the grass, got little legs, grabs on tight and doesn't let go. And then it finds a nice spot where it will suck the animal's blood. This is not a nice tick either. Let me see if I can find it in here. I think it has realized that I want to catch it. No, it's gone now. Oh, that's a pity. That was the fastest moving tick I've ever seen in my life. Can you believe it? How incredible. But that's what's so amazing about being out on a bushwalk, is that you're so close to the ground. You see a lot of things that you wouldn't maybe see in a car. And speaking about someone that's probably going to miss all the ants and the termites on the road is Steve, because he's racing around, and I think he's got something in mind, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise just yet.
Thanks, Taylor. Lovely to be on foot. You do end up seeing all those little intricate things, ticks and what we say in South Africa, chojos, all the little creepy crawly things that most of the people I've met from America do not like, the little creepy crawlies. But I believe there might be some questions coming through by the elephants, so I thought we'd quickly stop and have a look at this little tree here. Have a look at how it's been broken there. And elephants are not predators, as we would call them, but they feed on vegetation. And they're very, very important for breaking down branches and adding all sorts of organic material to the soil. And Madam Mira, how do they communicate? Elephants communicate with little belly rumbles, quite deep in the chest, trumpets that very low frequency infrasound that they can do, which actually apparently goes through the feet and can go for about 15 kilometers, probably about 10 miles or so, and we can't hear it. It's a very low frequency and it travels very, very far. But they've done studies and realized that elephant herds from go down that way, because elephants at the water are always so much fun. And one of the reasons why we come into the dam is because that's where you often find predators lying up in wait, lying up in ambush, looking for their prey counterparts that are coming in and out. So let's see what we can find. But as we return, go back that way, Taylor's got one of the most majestic little insects. Let's go over to Taylor.
Look at what we've got. Now, I'm not sure if these are butterflies or moths, because they've got very fluffy legs, and I can't say that I've ever seen butterflies with fluffy legs, but they don't have feathered antennae, which typically moths will have. So I'm going to go with butterflies. Now, they are making baby butterflies at the moment. So eventually the female, and they don't live very long either. A lot of insects only live for a couple of weeks, sometimes a few months, before they end up dying, because that's their sole purpose. It's to reproduce, so then in this case they can lay lots and lots and lots of eggs, and they'll need to lay lots and lots of eggs, because like we just saw, that other worm, that caterpillar that was on the leaf that looked like a bird dropping, things will want to eat them. So it's important that they lay as many eggs as they can, so at least one or two of them will survive and make it to adulthood. Now, during this time when they are mating, they're not going to be eating anything. Can you believe that? Now, Madison, you're wondering, how on earth do these animals survive in the heat? Well, I'm suffering today. David's definitely suffering too, and Rexon, I reckon, is sweating a bit. So we sweat to try and get rid of the heat. Butterflies, however, I don't think that they sweat. But when I found them, I'm going to show you quickly, they were all covered up by this tree. So I think that they were using the shade and the leaves to try and conceal themselves, to try and keep themselves a little bit cool. But I don't want to disturb the honeymoon couple for too long, so I think we'll let them go about their business, and hopefully they stay nice and cool and lay lots of eggs as well. Now, we haven't found a young silver cluster leaf tree yet to make a new rope that can go around my binoculars, so we're looking for much smaller ones than even this. We're getting there. We went from a really big one, now we're at a medium-sized silver cluster leaf. It looks like there's lots of caterpillars eating them. They've all got lots of holes in the leaves. So hopefully we will be able to find a small one. Now, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled. Maybe I'll stand here and spot with my binoculars to see if I can actually find a little silver cluster leaf. Steve is still racing towards those elephants. Let's go back across to him.
Thanks, Taylor. That tree that we just saw, that the elephants had broken, was actually the tree she's looking for. I think she wants to use it to make her binocular strap. I've got one. I didn't forget mine at home. Here we have found the elephants. Here they are. If we have a clear look at them, you can actually see the color. They have been swimming. Taylor was going to tell you about how animals survive in the heat, and elephants are probably one of the most playful animals around water. And we are right here down in the south of our area at a place called Chitwa Dam. Off to our right, we'll have a look at it in a moment, but there we have a few elephant bulls. You can see the color of them. If you pan on the one on the left there, Sense. Oh, there we go. He's having a rub now. He's having a rub, look at that. So they like to cover themselves in water and mud, and then because they don't have fingers and toes like we do, it's very difficult for them to scratch. Oh, do you hear the hippo? Erica wants to know how long do elephants live for, and in South Africa, elephants can live up to about 55, 60 years of age. In other areas like the Masai Mara, they can live up to about 65. That's purely got to do with their teeth. They feed on lots of vegetation, lots of sticks and branches in the dry months and bark, and it wears the teeth down quite a lot. So once their teeth wear down, they find it very difficult to chew and to digest food. So that is primarily the reason. If they were fed lucerne or hay or something at an extended period of time, they'd probably live longer. But these are wild animals living in the wild, doing what elephants do. Aren't they marvelous? Can you all hear the hippos in the background there? Emmy, you want to know if elephant trunks have cartilage inside, and know that it's actually made up of a huge number of muscles. There's about 100,000 muscles in an elephant trunk, and they are designed for moving it left, moving it right, turning it up in front of them and pulling it upwards towards their mouth. So there are muscles on either side of the trunk and in the front and on the back, which take many, many years for them to muster the ability to be able to use their trunk. And once they've figured it out, they're able to do the most delicate things. They can peel an orange, they can do all sorts of things on the floor, pick up the smallest of fruits off the ground, and then also break down quite really, really large branches out of trees. The trunk is extremely powerful, very, very strong. It probably weighs over about 60, maybe 70 pounds, about 100, 120 kilograms, and it's just full of muscle. You can see how they're just using the tip of their trunk there to pick up the grass. They're mowing it. Erica, how tall do they get? Just over 5 meters. No, sorry, 4.5 is about the height of that. So in feet, times that by 3. So it's about 15 feet. That sounds wrong. That sounds very, very wrong. But my maths is not working very well for me today. But at the shoulder, elephant gets between 3 and 4.5 meters in height. And if we times that by 3, probably about 12 feet at the highest, I would say. 10 to 12 feet, which is rather tall. Thank you very much, Kirst. 4 meters is 13 feet. So that gives you a good explanation or good size. And these aren't very big elephants that you see there. It's just a small group of young bulls. You can tell that immediately because they're on their own in a small group. There's no babies amongst them. Elephants will spend most of their time in a breeding herd with mothers and daughters and grannies. But as soon as the boys reach a certain age, they get pushed away to fend for themselves. Seems quite sad, but it's very important for their makeup and for their upbringing. Paula, that's a very good question she asks there, and it's an answer that I don't think many people actually have an answer to. But how long do elephants sleep? Pora, you asked how long do they sleep for, and elephants probably sleep on and off about maybe 10 to 15 minutes at a time, but they don't actually sleep too much. They spend most of the day and night feeding, and they'll quite often, if they do sleep, might just lean up against a termite mound or up against a tree or on a slope, because the huge weight down on their lungs makes it difficult for them to breathe. So they don't sleep for very long. They might even just do what they're doing now and just stand in one spot and kind of like sort of nod off on their feet. But they don't sleep as much as we do. They don't have that ability. I think they're just got to feed all day. At least 20 hours in a day they are busy feeding, which is an enormous amount to cope with the 300 pounds of food that they need to feed on. So we're going to go over to Scott. He is, I'm not sure what he's up to, but he's busy driving, and let's see what update he has for you this afternoon.
Well, interesting stuff there with Steve and the elephants. We are hoping on finding you another animal that is part of the big five. Not nearly as big as an elephant, but I think far more beautiful and a lot more tricky to find, and that is a leopard. So both Seb, who I'm teamed up with on camera, and myself are dying to see a leopard. We've been away from this area for the last few weeks, and that is our plan. However, when you're on safari, you have to be ready for a plan B, sometimes a plan C, or even plan D, because it's very difficult to find the animals, and we have no idea of what we may bump into around the next corner. I do know that we are arriving at a waterhole shortly, so there could be some animals quenching their thirst, just like the Ellies at the dam with Steve. Jakari, you would like to know, what do the animals do here in Africa? Well, I guess all of them are doing their best to survive, and for some that means catching other animals to eat them, like lion need to catch antelope in order to be able to feed on meat and grow up and be big and strong, and the antelope have to avoid being eaten by the lion if they want to do their thing. Some of the animals, like elephants, don't have too much to worry about in terms of predators, but they do have their own kind of appetite that they need to make sure that they are always looking after. So it really does vary on the individual animal. Let's see here, we've just seen a bird flying and it's made a kill. Let's see if we can get you a little gap of it through the trees there. There we go, there it is. Look, it's got a caterpillar, and it's very cleverly rubbing off all those hairy bristles. You can see how it's rubbing the caterpillar against the branch, that way ridding it of those horrible prickly spikes that will irritate the hornbill's throat if it swallows it, and it's then gonna swallow it whole. So I guess, Jakari, that's what the hornbills are up to here in Africa. They're out looking for caterpillars today, but they will feed on a number of different small animals, not just small insects, but sometimes baby chameleons, baby snakes, all sorts. How cool is this? You can see the hornbill's not taking any shortcuts. It wants to make sure all those bristles get rubbed off completely before it swallows the caterpillar. It looks like quite a big caterpillar. And wouldn't it be interesting to know what kind of butterfly or moth that little caterpillar would turn into once it becomes an adult? One thing that makes insects very, very interesting compared to the other animals is that a lot of them will change shape, size, and appearance hugely from when they are young to when they become an adult. Oh, and off it plopped. Well, that was very cool. We got very lucky to see that hornbill having some lunch. Maddie, you'd like to know, how often do we go on safari? Well, usually every morning and every afternoon, but it does depend on how many of us are here at work. Sometimes we get to have the odd morning or afternoon off. But usually we live a bit of a different lifestyle here, Maddie, in the bush, and we don't really have weekends. So what we do is we work Monday to Sunday for maybe 5 or 6 weeks, and then we go away for a 2-week weekend. So because we're far away from our friends and family and cities, it doesn't really make sense for us to have weekends, because it would take too long for us to travel home. So that's why we just work almost every day that we're here, and then we get lots of time to go and enjoy ourselves when we do go off. Okay, well, no big animals at the waterhole, but it looks like there's a few birds doing their business. There's a goose over there that's just popped into the water. I'm wondering where its partner is. Often they're in pairs. But there's no set rules in nature. And even though we may have a good idea of what is supposed to happen a lot of the time, Mother Nature often proves us wrong, so who knows where this goose's friend has gone. Anyway, we're going to continue with our search for hopefully a leopard. I would really love to show you a leopard before the safari comes to an end. And while we focus on doing that, we are going to send you back to Taylor, who's going to show you some of her handy skills crafting together her binocular strap.
Well, Scott, skills is a strong word. I'm not really a strong platter. I'm even a horse rider, and I could never plait my horse's manes. A little bit embarrassing, but all of the girls sitting in the classroom could be very good at doing this. So we finally found our bark, but let me show you how I got to where I am now. So we've got the big silver leaf, cluster leaf trees, which we've been seeing all over, and then these small ones down here. This is what you need to use because the bark is still nice and soft and tender and easy to pull apart. So all you have to do, I won't do it again though because I've already pulled up a lot and I don't want to damage too many trees. What you would do is you'd grab right at the bottom, you'd snap it, and then you'd see that all the bark comes off into long strands. Actually, I've got some here for you already because I'm going to use them. See, it comes like this and it's really soft and it's green and it's actually quite moist too. And it's really cool and it's really strong. Even look, one piece, I'm pulling as strong as I can. I can't break it. Now imagine when you put it together like this, how strong it really becomes. Now this is the handiwork of Rexon. He helped me out. I tried to plait and I didn't do a very good job. So I'm going to have to keep on working on this. I'll make it long. I might have to connect some of these pieces here to make it a bit longer because you know what I really want to do? I want to look cool. I want to be like Indiana Jones. I want a strap that goes all the way around underneath the side of me. But you've seen lots of elephants with everyone today. You can't see him now, but deep down in those trees at the back was a big elephant bull. So we're going to go and see if he wants to play this afternoon. But Steve has got some animals in the water that absolutely love playing.
Yes, we do. They do love playing, and Taylor Indiana Jones indeed. I love that she's able to just go out there and make something from the African wilderness. Too often we go out and buy things from the shops. We can actually make it. But I think it's quite important not to make things out of nothing. Cameron, hello sir, how are you this morning, afternoon? We have got some hippos here and you want to know how much a hippo weighs. A big bull can get up to about probably 6.5 tons, maybe 7 tons in pounds. That's quite a big weight, is it not? But we don't, the little babies there, a lot smaller. But 6,000 to 7,000 pounds, that's quite a heavy animal. But they spend most of their life in the water where they are quite at home. You can see these little youngsters are having a little bit of a play. But they keep themselves in the water to protect them against the sun, to keep them nice and cool as well. When they get cold, they'll sit in the sun outside. They actually develop their own little sun cream for themselves. And then they come out at night because they are such ugly looking animals apparently that they don't want to be seen by all the other animals. So they come out at night to feed. And they are vegetarian, feeding only on grass. Very, very big mouth. They just mow the lawn. A really big lawn mower. Munch, munch, munch. It's always fun seeing a little pod with some youngsters in it. So they're all actually standing there. It's not that deep. Isabella wants to know how long a hippo is. That is a very good question. I might need to have a quick look to see, because I don't know how long a hippo is. Unless you know off the top of your head, Senzo. How long is a hippo? I do have it here, I think, in one of my little magical books. So if you just give me a moment. How long is a hippo? I've never been asked that before. Very good question. Thank you. Okay, hippo. Is it the one that I don't have? Oh, of course. Of course. I do not have it. I'll have to research it for you. But I would say they're probably about 3 meters in length. Somewhere around there. Because when they cross the road, so that's about, that's about 10 feet. 3 to 5 meters. Thanks, Kirst. So 3 to 5 meters. So times that by 3, up to 15 feet. So they are quite long. I've seen them quite often when they cross the road in front of the car, and the road's normally about 3.5 meters, and they normally cover that distance quite well. Definitely a big one, but the smaller ones obviously are a lot smaller. But they are really quite beautiful animals, I think. The Bushman tale says that they are quite ugly, but I think they are beautiful. Cruz wants to know a question I'm not sure I understand. How do they keep their teeth in the water? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that, but how do they keep their teeth clean? Okay, well, there's no real cleanliness to animals out here with regards to their teeth. They don't have the fluoride and the toothpaste that we use. But the hippo's teeth, the major teeth that they use for feeding are molars that they have at the back of the mouth, and those, when they are feeding, are constantly grinding against each other, constantly grinding, and they might get a little bit yellow. They might get a little bit yellow, but animals don't clean their teeth. But the big canines or tusks that come out, those things are constantly, when the hippo's eating, are cutting into each other like this, and they make them very, very, very sharp and very good for fighting against males and for defense against anything that tries to come in between a female and her baby. So the teeth aren't very clean. They don't have white, sparkly teeth like most of the people in the world who use Colgate or any of those other brands. But that is a very interesting question. Thanks for it. But they are lying there. You can see the little baby. You will see no tusks in its mouth at the moment. See, you can't really even see any teeth. The teeth that they use for feeding are all at the back of the mouth there, just pretty much below the eye, so to speak. And he's yawning. She's yawning. I'm thinking it's a she. It's quite hard to identify hippo's sex when they are so young. Generally look at the pink around the eye. But folks, we're going to continue on our search for a leopard. We'd love to show you one this afternoon to link in with the predator-prey discussion. And while we do so, we're going to go over to Taylor, who's found something magnificent on foot.
It is quite magnificent. It's a flower, and its name is a lion's eye. So I suppose, can we classify this as part of the big five? One of the animals that Scott was looking for? Maybe, maybe not. Now, not all flowers that are beautiful and have bright colours are good for us, and this is one of those flowers. Can you believe it? That this is actually a very toxic flower. It's not a very nice one. It has a toxin in it that can essentially cause a heart attack, so you want to stay away from this one. You know how there are some flowers out there that you can put in salads and you can eat them? Not this one. We'll give it a skip. And to be honest, I haven't really seen too many animals feeding on it, although I can't imagine such a small flower would be able to do too much damage, especially if, say, a kudu or an impala or one of the other antelope species maybe ate it. I think one would be okay, but not too many more than that. Now, Rexon is standing out in front of us, and he's keeping an eye on that elephant. And that's something you have to remember when you're out on bushwalk, is to be aware of your surroundings. And the wind is also picking up a little bit, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So wind hides sound. So for us, doing an approach, that's great. Let's go. Now, as we walk along here, Rexon's calling us. He's doing a hand signal, so this means come towards him. So we want to focus straight away. But Mrs. Lucy, you've asked what other kinds of predators are there in Africa? Well, one of my favorite, which is a smaller cat, is called a serval cat. They're quite cool. They've almost got spots and long stripes on them. And you can get a caracal, or another really nice name is a roy cat, a red cat. Oh, he's here. We've got to go, though. We've got to go. That elephant, he's been so sneaky this afternoon. He's actually changed direction. Now I'm going to just talk a little bit softer. I didn't realize how close he was. And he's feeding down into the drainage line. Hop, skip, and a jump quietly over the maruna. And he's going to pop out over here somewhere, which is really cool. We'll see what he does. He was so far away. And I went for a run this morning. Can you believe it? It was really quite cool. And I think it's the same elephant that I bumped into on my run. We're going to go look for a nice safe spot to stand and wait for him to come out. However, Steve's got the same animal, except they're having a drink.
Thanks, Taylor. Wonderful flowers. I love it. I didn't see a lion's eye when I was last here, so obviously the rains that have come have brought some new flowers to the front, which is awesome. And here we have a small breeding herd. There'll be a big mama there with her 2 babies, different ages, and they are coming down to Chitwa Dam, where we saw the hippos just before, to have a nice drink. Can you see what she's doing there with her trunk? She's almost pushing away because the hippos are living in this water, so there's lots of hippo dung and all sorts of other funny things on the surface. So what she does is she actually pushes away that top viscous layer of whatever could be there, and then gets a nice clean drink from just below it. Very, very intelligent, and you can see how the youngsters are next to her, and from a very young age they are learning all of these little tricks, just like we do with our parents. I had a photo of a friend the other day who had her 1-year-old daughter or 1.5-year-old daughter baking with her for the first time, standing up on the chair with all the little baking implements, and that's how we learn, you know. We have to practice, and elephants are just like us. Everything that they do, practice and practice. So first we spoke about the elephant trunk and the ability for feeding, but they need it for drinking as well. When the elephants are young, they just drink with their mouth. They'll just lift their trunk up and suck directly from mum's nipple with its mouth, and when they're young as well, they'll stick their face right into the water because they haven't quite figured out how to use that trunk, because the trunk needs to be like a big suction. They need to suck up all that water into the trunk and then squirt it down to the mouth. So you can see the youngster's not very good at it. Oh, here we go. Noah would like to know how many elephants are in Africa. That is an amazing question. In the Kruger National Park, there's probably about 20,000. I think in Botswana, there's about 500,000. And in Kenya, I don't know the number, but the numbers are decreasing. The numbers were a lot bigger back in the day, but they are definitely getting smaller and smaller because of poaching, which is a very sad reality in this day and age. But we still have very healthy numbers of elephants down here in southern Africa. And here we have a male who's having all sorts of fun there. He's been swimming before. You can see how dark he is. He might go in again. He's having so much fun. Maybe he wants to play with the hippos. There's a hippo just there. The hippo would definitely back away if the elephant came in closer. The hippo's no match for an elephant. From a weight point of view, he said hippos can get up to about 6.5 tons in pounds. Elephant about 12, 13. So double the size. Wyatt, hippos eat grass. You want to know what they eat? Hippos feed primarily on grass. Probably reeds and sedges they might find close to the river, but grass is their 100% diet. Elephants feed on grass as well when it's in abundance. Look at that. He's going to have a swim. Now he's doing that purely for pleasure. Absolutely wonderful to see. Elephants are so human. There's so many qualities that we can share with them. I don't know if he's interested in this female because he's kind of following behind, and we've got the 3 of them. They've finished their drink and they're walking directly towards us. Sens, you see them there? Hello. Well, these are completely wild elephants, folks. They are completely wild, and this is 100% live. These elephants we're not going to influence them in any way. See if she's got any worry with us. She'll put herself between us and the youngsters. I'm just going to talk a little bit softer so as not to disturb her, but we'll see what signs she might put forward. But the tail is quite soft. She's not quite sure about us. She's probably going to want to rather go around. But the eye is very soft. The youngsters aren't reacting in any way, so the signs she's giving are very, very normal. There's no aggression here at all. The youngster, if it does something funny or aggressive, is very normal for them to do. You never need to watch out for the youngsters. It's the big mamas you need to watch out for, and they're just going behind the car, folks. Apologize if you get an aerial there. We've got a very technical vehicle here, and we are surrounded, it seems, by elephants. Okay, well, she decided to just walk past us. Carson wants to know how elephants suck water up. Now, the trunk of an African elephant has got 2 tubes on either side that run up, and by them contracting the muscles inside the trunk, it almost works like a straw, like a suction, and so they suck the water up, and then by contracting the muscles, it tightens at the bottom, and then the water doesn't fall out, and they kind of hold it in there like a straw, and then they just lift it up and then squish it back into their mouth. Their nose is their trunk is an extension of their nose, and it's where they breathe from. So can you imagine sucking water up into your nose and then still being able to breathe afterwards? It's quite a look at his eye. He's having so much fun, isn't he? Oh, now he's doing that purely for fun and games, folks. There's no other animals that we see around here that play like this. Humans, elephants, baboons, I believe, also play a fair bit, and monkeys. But when it comes to all of your other animals like lions and all the others, there's not too much, doesn't seem to be anyway, too much pleasure in everything they do. They just go about their business. But this young bull is just having an absolute whale of a time. I was down here a few weeks ago and had about 150 elephants swimming. So we're going to stay here with this very relaxed and cooling down individual, and while we do that, we're going to go over to Taylor, who believes trying to sneak up on the very same animal.
Now, I'm not very good at sneaking, unfortunately. I like to talk quite a bit, but we can't see this elephant at the moment. It's quite thick, lots of trees, lots of bushes. But I can hear him every now and then flapping those big ears, trying to keep himself cool, trying to chase away all the flies, all the other insects. And I can smell him. It smells like, well, I think he may have done a number 2. I think that's what happened, and that's what I was smelling. Rexon is telling me to go this way. We need to go this way. I've got to be very careful. I think Rexon has maybe seen him. He's a sneaky elephant, this. We'll try and get a view. I think he's up here. We'll ask Rexon now. Do you know what? I promise you in about 10 minutes. Let's keep going. He's going to be out in the open, but for now, because it's quite thick, we've got to be careful. And I've got to lead David through a nice clear area so he doesn't get stuck on anything. He's coming. Rexon's telling us. Rexon's going to stand there now. We're going to keep going though. Rexon's going to keep himself between us and the elephant, so we'll keep walking. Watch the thorns. This is so cool. I wish you could all be on foot with me. It's the most amazing thing in the whole world. See, there's a termite mound. Maybe if we climb up top here, we'll be able to see over the tops of the trees. Where is he? Where is this elephant? You would think that the largest land mammal would be easy to spot. It's not. Let me go around the corner. I'm stuck. Can you see him, David? My heart is racing because I'm so excited. Remember, the animals don't want to hurt you out here, so we are safe, we are fine, there's no problem. But you've got to be respectful of them, and you've got to make sure that you don't surprise any animals, because when you give them a fright... Oh, there he is. Do you know what he's doing? He's following our scent now. He's walking. There he is, crossing the drainage. You can see him, David? If you come down here, he knows we're here. I think the wind is swirling a bit. He's got a bit of a fright, in fact. So I think he's got a little bit of a fright. Maybe because the wind is all swirling around now. And he doesn't know where we are. Because normally elephants are fine. They're actually quite relaxed. As long as you give them some space. And because it's quite thick here, and there is a bit of wind, so he can't hear as well as he should be able to, he's decided he's getting out of here. So we won't follow him anymore. We'll let him carry on with his afternoon. Now we're standing up on this termite mound. actually right below a hole, in fact. But Cara, you were wondering about that elephant, how long it has to walk before it'll feel tired. Well, elephants are built for migrating. They're able to travel huge distances in a really short period of time. So I would say after about 50 kilometers, maybe 60 kilometers of traveling through the day, their legs are probably going to be a little bit on the tired side. But that's okay. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. They will get used to it and they carry on. It's the little elephants that become tired, and then they find that their mom has to stop and wait for them, let them have a little sleep, maybe a drink of water, some food if there is any around. Sometimes elephants will travel huge distances with no food and water in between, but that's what they're searching for. But it's been great having you all aboard, well, on Bushwalk with me, on the back of Steve and Scott's vehicle. And remember to do your homework, eat your vegetables and brush your teeth, and we hope that you can join us again on another school drive. So bye-bye to all of you, and we hope that you have a wonderful time. I'm going to send the rest of you all back across to Steve.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. We are at Chitwa Dam. We're just trying to follow up on what we've heard on the radio. But there's not much going on at the moment. We've got some elephants that are lurking around. Got some lovely birds. It's wonderful to be back down in South Africa. Been on leave for the last 3 weeks. Hello everybody. Nice to be back in South Africa. I'm looking forward to, I think I'm bushwalking in the morning, so that's going to be marvelous. There's been lots of rain. I don't know the amount, but I'm really looking forward to getting out there and seeing the flowers that have come out and the grass cover. There's lots of mud wallows around, so there's also going to be some really nice tracks. But at the moment, it's quiet. But it's still the freshness that follows the rain is always something that I really, really, really enjoy after that dryness. You know, when you spend a lot of time in these environments, especially in the dry months, the dust gets into everything. It gets in your eyes and in your nose, all over the place. So we love a bit of rain, and as you all know, we need it. We have been needing this rain quite badly, and other areas in the Kruger have had marvelous amounts of rain where the rivers are flooding and flowing, and so I think there's still going to be some to come. Hopefully we need lots more. There were lots of mud wallows around, as I said. I remember my first week, I got some amazing photos of Tundi drinking out of one of those little mud wallows. You can see that the rain's quite fresh because the wallows are still just a little bit sort of clear in color. They're a bit murky from the mud, but as soon as they start to lose their oxygen, the plants start growing in there. That little green algae that we saw that one time, that marvelous photo that I think's done the rounds on Twitter, Tundi and her cub drinking. It's definitely one of my favorites. Up we go. Heading up towards the airstrip in Chitwa, see what we can find. The guides on the property, there was sightings of Tingana this morning, but none of them seem to know exactly where that was. So maybe I need to wait for someone else who has been out this morning. But so far, no one has updated anything on the movements of that wonderful gentleman. I haven't seen him in quite some time. So as we pass some silver cluster leaves, we're going to go back over to Taylor McCurdy in South Africa, of course, and she is busy, still busy with her binocular straps.
I am, Scott, because my tape strap has now officially broken, so I feel like I kind of have to. I have to really make one now. Do you know how long it's going to take? I think it's going to take quite a while. But hello again, everybody. It's great to have you on Bushwalk. Hey, it's been a few months since I was last on Bushwalk. I don't even think I could tell the difference between a lion and a hyena track anymore. Anyways, but our friend the elephant from earlier, I really think what was happening with him was he was trying to avoid us. We were trying to avoid him and view him from a safe distance. But I don't think it was the same bull that I bumped into on a run this afternoon, because he actually looked a lot smaller, this fella over here. And I really think he was sneaking like this behind bushes because we couldn't see him. just hear him every now and then flapping his ears and, well, passing wind. That too, we could hear that. And I could smell him. No, he's gone. He ran away, I think, when the wind swirled, not having any of it, so he's gone. So we're going to leave him alone. However, what I would like to go and have a look at today is some mud wallows, because I cannot believe how green it is here. It's spectacular. Now, little Bambi, you've asked me on this very sunny day in the Sabi sand if I'm scared out here. No. Actually, funny enough, not at all. I have a healthy respect for the animals, and I'm aware of my surroundings. As you can imagine, you've got to use all your senses when you are out on bushwalk. But scared, no. Just a healthy respect. When I first started walking, though, however, I was very much intimidated. Going out, being charged by an elephant for the first time, being charged by a lion. These things are all terrifying. And I, of course, do get nervous when animals charge me. I don't think I could stand and have an elephant charge me and say that I wasn't a little bit frightened. But we know what we have to do. Now, as we're walking here, I'm seeing a lot of hyena tracks. I'm just trying to find a decent one because they all look like they've been blown around with the wind today. So I imagine it's from this morning or maybe even late last night. And I believe no one has found, here's a half a track here. I believe that nobody has found, you can just see it, there's the back pad and there are the toes. Or someone has been running with a rather large dog. There's no active hyena den, so we're going to have to try and find that. But it's going to be extremely difficult now with all this lovely lush vegetation. I can't remember when I last saw the grass this tall. I don't think it was even this tall last year. No, the year before, 2016. I really don't think we had that much rain, in fact. So it's quite beautiful. So we're going to go and see what's moving around at the bottom of the mud in the mud wallows. We need to find some of those. So off to Ingwe Alley we go. Scott, however, is on the move. He's been talking about all sorts of leopards. Let's see if he's going to find one.
No joy with the leopards just yet, but we have just stumbled upon some lion tracks. And I'm heading down the road in this direction. I'm not too sure how many there are. It looks like a lioness. It doesn't look like a big male. And because I've been away for the last few weeks, I don't have a clue what's going on. I don't even know if Tundi's cub is still alive. So I am told, though, that there has been a decent amount of lion sightings here on Djuma over the last few weeks, which is great news because when I left here, we hadn't had many sightings for the month that I was here. So that's good news. I did also have a report from one of the game drive vehicles that was out as we headed out this afternoon that a lion cub was seen on Gowrie Cut Line, which is not too far from here. So who knows what could be going on. Now the tracks are coming up and down in all directions. Interesting stuff, and they do look fresh, so I'd be surprised if nobody knew about these tracks this morning. Maybe they're a bit older than I think, but I doubt it. They are looking too fresh to be from 2 nights ago. Just have a quick hop out and try and work out what's going on here. You can see in this area over here where the ground's been disturbed quite a lot and flattened out, where one lion was actually lying down. So they were probably relaxing up and down on the move. I can see there was another one that was lying down up ahead of us over there, another one over here. But the question is, where have they gone from here? There is a small waterhole not too far away, so maybe they'll be there. Well, good prospects, and hopefully with a little bit of snooping around this area we'll be able to work out where in fact these guys have gone. It looks like a number of lions. I'm guessing it's the Nkuhuma Pride. I'm not sure if they've been continuing to split up into kind of 2 different groups of the Pride, or if they're all sticking together these days, but time will tell, and hopefully we'll find these lions for you shortly. While we try and work out where they've gone, we shall send you across to Steve, who's still at the waterhole.
Thanks, Scotty. We have moved a little bit away from the waterhole. We're kind of on the other side. There was reports of Kuchava this morning with her cub in this area, but there were lots of antelope, impala and waterbuck at the dam, and so nothing. I mean, if she was sitting there in the grass somewhere, hopefully we would have seen her, but the animals were looking way too relaxed for potential leopard in the area, but you never know. Senzo and I could be lucky. We are driving around the block now. We've just left the dam on that side and doing a little bit of a loop around Chitwa Lodge itself. Had a little chat with some of the guides, but I think being the 1st of March, a lot of people have come back from leave because it seems no one else there has an idea. I suppose that does happen from time to time when you have your handover. Let's go. I'm feeling that way, says. Let's go that way. When you have your handover, you need a little bit of time to have a proper chat. Hello, Scarlett. You would like to know what I'm most looking forward to on my return? I would like to see another leopard cub. I don't know. I think it's really has hit me now. I mean, working here is the first time I've seen leopard cubs the way we've been seeing them. And going up to the Mara was unbelievable up there. I saw a leopard twice, once with Jamie and then once on my own on the way home. But it just wasn't the same sort of thing, you know. Getting right up and close and personal with these leopards and taking some photos, just those eyes, that's something I'd like to see. And then, yeah, a nice big male lion, it's something I missed up in the Mara. But just being here, oh, hello, Hammerkop. We have a Hammerkop just to our right here. He has found a little puddle of water. He or she. Sorry about the brake sense. There we go. Is he going to do some fishing? Look at that beautiful silhouette. Oh, he caught something. Part of the heron family. See, so little tadpoles. Probably in the rain we had, you'd have tadpoles in there. There'd be a little bloom of insects. All sorts of things in just a small little pool. So that's what's awesome about the rain, is it really has the potential to change the landscape. And these accumulations of puddles in the lowland, not only do they bring in food and insects, they also bring in nutrients. We'll get some plants growing in that little puddle soon, and that'll feed the little tadpoles and whatever fish might form in there. And slowly but surely that gets eaten again by your vegetarian-like birds, like your ducks and your geese. But have a look at that. The typical Shangaan belief is that the Hammerkop likes to stand and watch his reflection in the water. He thinks he's a very pretty bird, but it also is quite an ominous sign. They believe that the shadow of the Hammerkop will come at night and take the life of your loved one. How daunting does that sound? But he is enjoying his silhouette, is he not? His reflection, not silhouette. Jared, it's so bleak. Sorry, Jared. It's lovely. He's in the nice, very sandy sort of low-lying area. You can see just above him it's very, very sandy, but where the water is itself, it's very, very muddy. So that's how you know that the water's brought in nutrients. It brings the clay from the upper areas and brings it downstream. And that's why you get these little pools and puddles, because the smaller particles, being the clay and also nutrient-rich particles, the clay ones specifically are good at holding water. That allows these little pools and puddles to form, and these mud wallows. And as we've seen before, lots of animals like to wallow in these little pools. Quite important for keeping them thermoregulation. Oh, there's quite a bit of movement on the left there. There must be some frogs, tadpoles. This Hammerkop has lucked out, it seems. All sorts going on in there. Wonderful. Just a small little puddle. Hoping to see lots and lots of these little mud wallows on the walks, and I saw one on the way through here where elephants have been smashing it and moving the mud around. And I was fortunate to, some of you might have seen it in the Mara, we had a small breeding herd of about 15 elephants with lots of youngsters that were wallowing in a mud wallow about the size of the pool this Hammerkop is in at the moment. Did you see what he did there? He teased the bottom of the soil with his foot, and it disturbed whatever might have been in there. and then it came. Look at that. I've seen that with plovers, white-crowned plovers, that walk around and they sort of touch the sand, and whatever might be hiding underneath will come out. Lady Mal, you love watch Hamerkops hunting, me too. It's nice to see this change, you know, and it's what's so nice that the rain has done. The rain's brought in a really, really good dynamic, and it's a time of plenty. You know, it's when the frogs are going to breed because of the rain, and then all of your snakes and sort of meat-eating birds will be feeding on the tadpoles and feeding on the frogs themselves. It's definitely a time when animals need to make the most out of what's going on. And also the greening that we see going around is marvelous. A lot of the trees will probably fruit and flower again. Djuma asks what animal threatens a hamerkop. Any sort of cat-like animal, a snake. So generally your small cats, so your wildcat, African wildcat, serval, pythons, definitely. I mean, a lion, but I don't think a lion would really go for a hamerkop, but I've seen lions take all sorts of things, so any predator really. And then the raptors that we get at you, tawny eagles, martial eagles, any of the small to medium-sized raptors would definitely be a threat to hamerkop. But pythons and rock monitors are a real problem in the nest because they like to get in there. They are able to get into the... We're going to go to Scott quickly. We'll see you soon.
Welcome everyone, we found the lions, and as you can see they are feasting. I think it's a warthog. There we can see one little hoof sticking out, and we must have driven straight past these lions. We actually saw a few warthog running in their direction, and they must have just run straight into the sleeping lions. I'm going to keep quiet for a second. There's some incredible audio. How epic is this? The carcass has just been torn into 3 pieces, maybe 4. I think some of the bigger, stronger lions have ended up with the better share of what looks to be a young warthog that has just been ripped to pieces. Shame, it obviously had no idea what it was running into. Like I said, when we were trying to work out where these lions were, we saw some warthog running in this direction, and as we got back here now, because tracks were coming backwards and forwards into the same direction, we came across this incredible scene. And some of you may be a little bit disturbed by what you've just seen, not just the lions fighting amongst one another, but that poor warthog being ripped to pieces. But that is the way of the wild out here, and it looks like these lions were fairly desperate for a meal. When they all stood up for a second, I noticed that most of their bellies were quite empty, and even though it's just a little bit of a snack for them, it is at least something to help give them a bit more energy for the next hunt that they will be going on. A perfect example of how big cats are hugely opportunistic. It's highly unlikely that these lions were moving, and again, like I said, there is a high likelihood that this warthog just ran straight into them while they were sleeping, and they jumped at the opportunity. As you can hear some almighty roars letting out between the different pride members. There's quite a few sub-adults that are trying to compete with bigger lioness, and they're not having much joy. There's one big lioness, possibly 2 actually. No, it looks like just like one big lioness that's in the frame here. Now the one facing us, the rest are all sub-adults. Tom, no, lions do not have the best table manners. They've got terrible table manners, and considering that they are considered to be team players, that also all goes out the window when there is a meal on the cards. The biggest and strongest lions will be those that feed first. I can hear a few more growls coming from in the thickets over there where Seb's looking now. There's one lion that managed to tear off quite a decent chunk of warthog. Whew. Well, I'm so happy that we came back here when we did, because we would have, by just, a minute later, we would have missed all this incredible action. So lucky stuff. As we came onto the scene, Seb saw the lions. He was like, there they are, and they were moving around. And as soon as I saw them on the move, I knew that something had happened. And what's quite interesting, let's see if there's a bird that's just flying up over there. It looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. I just want to make sure that it's not a vulture. And either way, regardless of which bird of prey it is, it's going to be very interesting to see what it does when it sees these lions and the kill. It may not be interested in it. Yeah, it looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. So they do hunt for themselves, not really scavengers, so it's probably not going to pay too much heed, but it is circling about you, having a closer look, so that is interesting. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to stay put with the lions and rush you across to Taylor, who's got something very close to her.
We found some elephants who actually spotted our mud wallow that we wanted to get to. And well, instead we were rewarded with a surprise. Now I'm talking very softly. For those of you that have just jumped on board safari with all of us, so welcome to you. I am on bushwalk, but we are 100% safe. Rexon has positioned us up really nicely on a massive termite mound. Really, really big one with lots of tree cover. And these elephants are not interested in us. They are completely relaxed. There was one youngster that actually spotted us and realized that we were there, maybe only about 10 years old, got a little bit of a fright, but then settled down and started eating. But you can see those two little ones have gone round to Mom now. So she'll keep a watchful eye on them. But the one we need to worry about is, of course, Mom. And she doesn't mind that we're up here. She's too busy gobbling something up. We actually stepped out into the open, and there they were. We quickly took 2 steps back behind some cover, behind a tree. She didn't even know. Literally, her mind is focused on the tall green grass, and that's what a lot of the animals are going to be doing at the moment, is that they're making the most of the lush vegetation that's just come around. Because if you have been following Safari Live, or for those of you who have ever been to the Sabi Sand before, you'll know that unfortunately we haven't had very much rain, and it's been completely barren. Everything has been almost like the desert, which is not great. So these animals haven't had the most luscious food to eat. So while it's here, they're going to eat as much of it up. So something like us, as long as we keep safe, keep our distance, and don't go and pretty much lay underneath their feet, we'll be okay. I'm almost certain, though, that they now know that we're here. I'm sure they can hear us. I'm pretty sure our scent up here on the termite mound, I can sense it swirling around me, all the wind. But if they were unhappy, Mom would have shook her head. She would have told us to go away a long time ago. But the fact that she is still eating is just the most amazing thing. And I can't tell you how good it feels to be back on foot with these beautiful, gentle creatures once again. And as long as you're careful and cautious, something like this is perfect. Now, we don't have any guests with us. There's just 3 of us on this walk. So it's a small, intimate group, which does allow us to do something like this. If you were with a big group, you wouldn't want to have 10 people up here on the termite with you. You're asking for trouble. But because we are guides, David's been walking in the bush for I can't tell you how long now. And of course, Rexon is one of the top guides in the Sabi Sand. Well, I think we're in safe hands out here this afternoon. And it's a nice small groon. Cool. Yes, Kirsten, I would absolutely love to do one. I think this could be quite nice, in fact. Okay, everybody, we're going to do a broadcast, unscheduled broadcast. I'm going to sit quietly for a minute. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the sunny Sabi Sand here in South Africa. We are on bushwalk, on foot, with 3 elephants. Can you believe it that I'm standing right here? My name is Taylor McCurdy, and behind the camera bringing you this amazing footage is David. Now, if you are a little bit concerned about me, don't be. I'm right up high on the top of a termite mound, and I've got lots and lots of trees to protect us. For those of you that have never joined us for one of these amazing scenes, all you have to do if you'd like to ask us questions, because it is live, is just comment in the comment section, and I look forward to hearing from you. Now, something we do have to be careful about is I can only see 3 elephants here. It's a mom and her 2 youngsters. they could be a satellite party. There could be a bigger breeding herd somewhere. So I am looking out, I'm listening. The wind is starting to pick up a bit, so I really need to use my senses. Now, I don't know if you can see though, but they're covered in mud. You see that? They've definitely had a mud bath. And directly behind us, which we'll show you in a minute, is actually a mud wallow. So I'm almost certain that that's the mud wallow that they've come from. I can see a few splashes around the edge of it. And that's where we were heading. And we just bumped into these elephants. So that's something typical that the elephants will do, is on a very, very hot day like today, they'll go and cool themselves down nicely. And then, well, carry on feeding, because that's the most important thing that an elephant needs to do, is eat as much as it can every single day. For those of you who've never seen the Sabi sand, you're very lucky. I have not seen the Sabi sand as lush as this. I think maybe I don't even think I've seen it like that. I've been working in the Sabi sand since 2015. This is the first time I've seen so much vegetation around here. And I think that's why these elephants are so tolerant. See how she's just turned slightly? Do you see that? She angled her head towards us. Hello, girl. It's okay. So she knows we're here. It's okay. Relax. Relax. It's fine. Everything's okay. Now we see we're higher up than her. You see how she shows herself. She's trying to show your muscles, trying to look big and strong. But she puts her head down and she takes a bit of grass and she eats again. So she's basically just saying, don't come any closer to me. Don't come any closer and we'll be fine. And we're on a vantage point. We're much higher up than them. So we'll just let them feed. And we probably won't stay here for too long. Now, Sin, thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. You've said that just in time for your morning break. Well, I hope that you're as excited as I am. I can tell you right now, the adrenaline is pumping at the moment. See, she's fine. The fact that she's put her head down and she's carried on eating is pretty spectacular. We are so lucky out here this afternoon. I haven't been on a bushwalk for a very, very long time. So to have a really amazing encounter like this with these wild animals is spectacular. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this though, because I definitely have. And you can continue watching Safari Live. All you have to do is Google it. Google Safari Live. And we will carry on. But for myself and David and Rexon, we'll see you all on bushwalk soon. Cool. Okay. Hello everybody else again. That was quite cool. So she knows we're here. So we're basically just going to sit and have a tea party with this elephant now. Perhaps we'll go for a mud wallow too. However, Scott has had some lions who were devouring a warthog.
Yes, they have now finished devouring the warthog. They had a few more scraps amongst one another whilst you were enjoying a wonderful sighting with Taylor and those Ellies on foot. It was really interesting actually. I'm fairly certain it was two of the fully grown adult lionesses, this being one of them, had a serious tussle with one another. And if we look closely on this individual's nose, and sadly not the side she's showing us now, the other side, we may notice a little bit of blood there. I'm not sure if that's from the warthog or actually from herself, from fighting with her pride members. And I guess it's kind of further emphasis to show that they really were quite hungry when this warthog ran into them, because they let off some serious growls and roars, and incredibly competitive over that little piglet. It wasn't that little, I'd say it's probably maybe 4 or 5 months old, but a mere snack for all these lions. I haven't even been able to count how many lions are actually here, but I'm guessing there's about 8 or 9. And I'm also guessing that the cub that was seen somewhere on Djuma this morning is the youngster from this pride. And I'm quite surprised that it was left alone quite far from here. I'd say about a mile from here is where it was seen at 10 o'clock this morning. There's no sign of it here now, so that might explain what's going on there. But who knows, maybe there's 1 or 2 of the bigger lioness also somewhere closer to that youngest cub. I mentioned a bit earlier, this pride is quite recently splitting up from time to time. Again, we haven't seen them much in the few months that I've been back here, so I don't have really useful insight into what they've been doing, because we simply haven't been seeing them. But some interesting shifts and movements amongst this pride. Ivy, you would like to know if there's a specific kind of food type that lions prefer to eat. Not that I'm aware of, or not that I really think. It's more through default than anything else. In some areas there may be more plentiful options for a given pride that they may capitalize on, but they will take any meat if it is put on a platter in front of them. But obviously some of the smaller prey are difficult to catch. Some of the bigger prey are a little bit more difficult to catch, but a pride like this is capable of taking down some of the smallest prey up to some of the largest, being the Cape buffalo. Well, what a pleasant surprise. I wonder where these lions were sleeping when I hopped out and walked around. This was the area where I walked around and pointed out where the lions were sleeping, and it would be wonderful to know where they were. I'm guessing they were somewhere off over there, and with this long grass, I guess they didn't have an idea that I was moving around. Otherwise, they would have definitely let us know about that. Well, epic stuff. Very happy to be with the Nkuhuma Pride of Lions. We won't be going anywhere, but you will. Over to Steve.
And you're back with us from something. It's moved over here to the left here since Direct Lecture 3. Of course, we have got a bird. And from excitement on the other side of Djuma with Taylor and Scott, what marvelous day they are having. And to me, I wonder, all of you birders out there, quickly comment, let us know what bird that is. Definitely one of the prettiest of the bird families. He's back where he was in the beginning. Sens is doing a marvelous job keeping up with him. Let's get your comments through. I know most of you out there who are keeping a bird list have probably seen this one. It is quite a common bird, and they are quite known for building their nests in small banks, the sides of rivers, or even in the top of a termite mound, so in an aardvark burrow. See if we can tell through that very nice, long, sort of sharply curved beak, with that yellow under the throat, green back. He is quite small. I wonder how many of you out there can correctly identify this beautiful bird. You should easily be able to get the family by the beak. Michelle got the family right. Michelle, well done. It is a bee-eater. So it's very easy to identify bee-eaters by that beak, and also the flight that they do, that quick in and out. And P Heart, you have got it. It is a little bee-eater. Definitely one of the prettiest birds you find around here. He's very cute, and they behave in what we call, their flight pattern is something called hawking. So they'll sit on a branch, and see how he's looking all over the place, and any insect that flies, he'll lurch off of the branch, catch it, and then land back on the same branch again. Not always the same branch, but quite often a similar one. When they're in groups of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, some of the nicest photographs I've ever seen. When you get your white-fronted bee-eater or little bee-eaters sitting in little groups, it really is marvelous to see a lot of them sitting in a row on a branch like that. Isn't that special? So yes, those of you who haven't seen one of these before, definitely a little bee-eater. It's far smaller than the others that we find. The European that will be going back shortly, and the white-fronted, which is here year-round. They will live here as well all year. And he is loving, or she is loving, the bloom of insects after the rain, and off it goes again. Marvelous. So we're going to continue. We are just below Chitwa Dam now, behind the dam wall, and we're going to go through an area that I found Asana in a few times. So let's see if we're going to be lucky to find you a spotted cat this afternoon. I know my other friends on the other side are doing wonderful work, and we're going to go back to Taylor and her elephants.
Steve, well, I hope you get to find Kuchava because she is my all-time favorite leopard. Well, my second favorite leopard of the Sabi sand. My first favorite, sadly, is no longer alive, and she's from down in the southern Sabi sand. But our elephants have now started moving away from us, which is very cool. This has honestly been the most incredible encounter. I mean, we stumbled upon them. We got a big fright, like I said, took 2 steps back, and now that we just sat up on this termite mound, made sure we had a nice, safe spot, we've been able to interact with them for this entire time. And Mom every now and then would look at us, sort of flare her ears out. Then she'd put her head back down and start eating straight away. She hasn't trumpeted. She actually hasn't shaken her head at us once. It's been incredible. I don't even know what other words to use to describe it. But I'm very, very privileged to be out here. That was one of the better elephant sightings I've ever had on foot. I mean, most of the time they are very placid, but you're viewing them from quite a distance. And it just so happened we had to stumble upon them on close distance. Now, this is an older cow that we've got here munching. We've already seen she's got two sub-adults with her. And First Lady, you were wondering at what age can an elephant cow start reproducing? I would say anywhere between about 15 years old, probably a bit younger than that. Remember, again, we often talk about how every human is different. The same thing goes with elephants. They might not all start at exactly the same year being able to reproduce. So I would say between about 13 and 15. Oh, stop reproducing, not start. My bad. Apologies. I feel like that behind-the-scenes video Samari Live did about Steph not being able to hear things was actually about me. I'll just have to get back into it again. So sorry, stop reproducing. Right. Kirsten, who's directing, said there's now going to be a sequel. Anyways, so they can actually reproduce quite late. I would say maybe closer to 50 or so, somewhere around there. But again, it's very difficult. We can only really estimate. Perhaps in zoos it'll be a little bit longer if they are living in zoos, and that quality of life, or there's a safe life. There's not a lot of dangers around like there are out here. And in a zoo, they don't exactly experience a drought either. So life is a lot tougher out here. In the wild, obviously, quality of life is much better out here, as you can imagine. Being able to move around freely, going where they need to go. So it's quite late though, which is surprising. I'm trying to think though how many young elephant I've seen following a cow before, as if they were her offspring. Maybe about 4 or 5 of them or so, somewhere around there, which is quite cool to see. But I wonder where this herd is going, but we're not going to hang around with them for too long. We actually want to go to the mud wallow down below, and I think we'll be safe to head down there, because these elephants are now moving away from us. They know we're here. They don't want to have anything to do with us anymore. So I'm going to send you back across, I think it's in that direction, onto Scott's car, where those lions are still having a great time.
Well, wonderful stuff there with Taylor. Things have calmed down quite considerably here, and all of the lions are snoozing except for one, who's making her way down the road towards the rest of the pride. I'm not too sure where she's come from or what she's been doing, but I'm sure she's going to plonk herself down next to one of her teammates here, and it'll be interesting to see what the pride get up to for the rest of this afternoon. I've got a feeling that they could just kind of take it easy and snooze, but I'm going to wait for them to go to sleep properly, because they could surprise us and have an early evening hunt, which would be absolutely fantastic if they decide to get active a little bit earlier than they ordinarily would on a hot afternoon like this. But maybe that little warthog has got their taste buds watering. And Seb's just suggested that was just a little aperitif, just to get the cuisine started, and now they can go and look for something a little bit more serious. But I fear that they may wait until a little bit later on this evening. Ashlyn, you'd like to know if it's possible to distinguish between young male lion tracks and a fully grown lioness tracks, who would obviously be very, very similar sizes at some point in a young male's career. It would be very difficult for me to, and to be honest, I think even the best trackers would have a bit of a tricky time distinguishing between male and female. There's a theory that suggests that the tracks of a male cat are more rounded at the corners and less angular, but shoo, that is very, very tricky to see. So yeah, it is very difficult to be able to distinguish between a young male and a lioness who would have similar sized tracks. And with a pride like this, which does have a couple of small males, their paws will be a very similar size, I'm guessing, at the moment to these lioness. Wonderful stuff. Chula Ann, just 5 years old, you would like to know if lions ever like cooked meat. Well, Chula Ann, they shouldn't ever be offered cooked meat because there's nobody that cooks meat out here. Unless, of course, an animal gets burnt in a natural fire. They may like to snack on that, but ordinarily they wouldn't get too many home-cooked meals delivered to them. But I think if they were given a nice, juicy, big piece of buffalo pie, they would eat it. I just don't think that there's anybody that makes them buffalo pies out here. I wonder what ever ended up happening to the little duiker, little antelope that was found a couple of weeks back after it was struck by lightning. I'm almost certain something must have consumed it, but I'm not sure if we ever got to the bottom of that mystery, if we worked out who it was, whether it was a hyena or a leopard that slunk in. Okay, well, like I said, we're going to stay put and try and get a better idea of what these lions' plans are for the rest of the afternoon. And while we try and work that out, we shall send you back to Steve, who has found a nest.
Thanks, Scott. Stay and see what the plans are going to be after their warthog snack. Isn't that wonderful to see? Welcome back from leave, Scott. First thing you see on leave is a lion killing warthog. Not a bad thing to go. It sounds like I'm back in the Mara with lions killing warthogs. But here we have got a wonderful nest, folks. The reason why we stopped, we're in the drainage line just below Chitwa Dam itself, and had an African harrier hawk fly out of the trees here. And there's a little bit of, if sense can just go in a little bit on the bottom left, you can see it like a group of feathers there. That's the entrance hole to the Hummerkop nest. And the question we had earlier was who is a threat to Hummerkops, and here we have the nest. They built quite an elaborate nest, but the harrier hawk is a specialist. He can actually hold on to the trunk itself with his wings and then stick in his leg, and some people say he's able to dislocate his knee or ankle joint and able to go in every direction with inside. I don't know if he's actually able to do that, but he's very flexible, long legs, and also very short, or should I say sharp, narrow face allows him to penetrate into all sorts of cracks and crevices. So very, very specialized bird. So that would definitely be a bird that would be a threat to most birds in their nests, and to Hummerkops as well. I wouldn't say to the adults themselves specifically, but to any chick that might be trying to hide in the comfort of the really nice dome shape Hummerkop pizza oven. We are going to continue on, and beautiful in this drainage line. The birds are calling. I've got the emerald spotted wood dove calling in the background with a very like. It was a terrible go, but it is a very nice sound in the African bush. The black-headed oriole is calling. Yeah, wonderful. Blackback, puffback. Nice to be back in an area where I actually know the bird calls. It was quite something being up in the Mara. There were a huge amount of birds I've never seen before, and when you hear them calling, it's like I'm back at school again, doing it all again from the beginning. So that was really, really strange, but lovely as well. But unfortunately, my time was so short, I wasn't able to properly enjoy and to get as many birds under the belt as possible. But that will have to come another time. Love these little drainage lines. There could be absolutely anything hidden. So Senzo's keeping his eye out. I'm keeping my eye out. Okay, so we're going to go back over to Taylor, who I believe has found something she's been looking for all afternoon.
Well, we kind of have something that lives in the murky waters of a mud wallow, and some of you may remember the most exceptional sighting I had not too long ago in the Mara, where we had a water scorpion leap out of the water to try and catch a frog, which was pretty spectacular, but we'll get to that. This, I think, is actually the exoskeleton of a young water scorpion. So they molt a couple of times before they reach the adult stages, which is pretty cool. I've never seen a water scorpion this small, and there's not really much at all that's here. But a very, very cool find, in fact, just lurking in the water. I heard the grass rustle and I got a fright. You know, it's a python maybe, coming out there, ready to dive into the mud on purpose this time. Now, if you look very carefully, because it's not so often that we get to see something like this. Sorry, David, let me hold it up for you, because then you don't have to go into the squat for too long. That is what it breathes out of. So it's like a siphon, which is pretty spectacular. Now, an adult will be able to hold its breath for about 30 minutes. I'm not sure how long a youngster like this would be able to hold its breath for. And then if you look in front, and the other leg, unfortunately, is all squashed. Those are used for catching prey. So they sort of shoot those out, and I would imagine that's what that adult water scorpion we saw in the Mara trying to catch a frog would have used to have grabbed its prey. It doesn't look like it's got any barbs or hooks on it, like some of the other insects, like for instance spider hunting wasps have on their legs to hold their prey in place, or even dragonflies. But very, very cool to see something like this. I kind of want to take it back, but I don't know where to put it. I might have to make a box of some sort. Jason, thank you. You said I've got good eyes. Why? Because they're blue, or because we were able to spot these small things? Are you now zooming into my eyes? I'm just joking. Obviously, I'm back. I'm going to be silly. Now, I can see lots of ripples on the water. Ooh, a feather. Hope I don't get eaten by a crocodile or fall in. No, this is going to be disastrous. Come here. Can you imagine if I fell in? I'd be very upset, because I'd wet a lot of cell phones, radios, mic packs. To do the shake. I think I may have wrecked it. I want to have a look. It's got beautiful blue on it. I'm going to hold it in the sun for you. Let me just try and fix the feathers a little bit. You can actually do that. Little hooks actually re-hook if you're patient and gentle enough. You see that? Yeah. It's got a bit of white. It's got a bit of blue, a bit of black. Let's have some guesses. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with what you think. No, that doesn't make any sense. Which bird species do you think this feather is from? And or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat, of course. Don't forget that. Eggsy, who is aka Zander, no one calls him Zander, but he's one of our editors. He said it's a zebra feather. Actually, Eggsy, you win the prize. It's definitely a feather from a zebra. We're a bit ridiculous, of course. So I'm going to keep that and the water scorpion. Perhaps the water scorpion wants to wear the feather. It's dead, remember, it's an exoskeleton. I'm pretty sure it's an exoskeleton. Try and hold them like that. What else we got here? That's what's so amazing. When you have rain, life that comes with water is pretty spectacular. And if you're just patient enough and you have a little look around, you can find all sorts of things. We have a winner. Bree, you said that this feather belongs to a kingfisher. Spot on. And I'm going to say a woodland kingfisher too. I mean, I don't know. Go away, fly. Sorry. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty certain that's the case there. And Willie, you've actually guessed a woodland kingfisher. So, well, I think the two of us agree. What is wrong with my English? Get back to that. But yes, I think this is what we've got. Shall we just set the feather free? Very dramatic. Off it goes into the water. Let's see if there's any spiders. Oh, David, I can see a spider too. Can you believe it? lurking in and amongst the vegetation, because spiders do like to lurk. Oh, and David likes to slip. That was David almost falling, and if that had happened, I would have run and grabbed the camera and put it on him. Not you, David. Hey, quick on your feet. This is live, of course. So in there, David, can you see it? There's a spinnekop, which is a spider in Afrikaans. It's quite a nice word, spinnekop. Oh my gosh, there's another water scorpion. There must be loads of them in here. Another, I'm going to collect them. Nice. Can you see it? I'll show you that now. But straight in there, sitting on this, as I knock David over. Well, there we go. You can see it just behind the plant. I'm not going to keep David down there for too long because he is in the squat position now. And for those of you that have done many squats, you know it's not the easiest thing. But there is a spider waiting for unsuspecting prey to maybe come and seek shade by those plants, and it will snatch it up. It's amazing how it's able to keep on top of the surface. Right, I'm going to keep collecting exoskeletons of little water scorpions. Scott is still with those hungry lions.
Well, it sounds like Taylor's having a jolly good time at the little waterhole there. Things are calming down here, and 3 of the older lioness within the pride are all kind of snoozing in a huddle here. But having said that, all the youngsters have just popped out, and it looks like they are now wanting to possibly urge the parents on to go and find their next meal. This looks like a young boy over here. He's letting off a few gentle roars. What are you looking for? One more. Give us one more. Interesting. Now, I'm not sure if these are both young males. I'm guessing this one that we're looking at now is a lioness, but a youngster. The one that lay down on the floor initially, I think, is definitely a boy. But interesting that the 2 of them have come here looking out in that direction, calling. And who knows, maybe it's the smallest young cub from this pride that's born at a different period to these guys. It's probably half the age of these ones we're looking at here. Maybe it's that individual that these older subadults are missing and wanting to try and call and look out for. It'll be nice to give a bit of a head count now as they all move in front of us. So like I said, there was 3 lioness there initially. Now another one joining, one of the youngsters. And mothers aren't giving it the most welcome greetings there. So it seems to be 4 subadults and 3 adults. That's what I can see at this stage, which means the pride could well have split up. I've actually forgotten the exact numbers and statistics of this pride, but I think it's 6 subadults, 1 small cub, and is it 4 or 5 adult females?
It's 4, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that means that basically we are 2 adults short, 2 subadults short, and 1 young cub short. So maybe they are somewhere else on Djuma where that other cub was seen this morning. Hopefully these guys are going to get up and active and relocate and reunite with the rest of the pride. That'll be wonderful to see. One of the lionesses actually moved quite far down the road, which is a very pleasant surprise. Let's hope that she continues to move down the road. Oh no, it looks like she just wanted to get away from the subadults who were bothering her. Let's watch here though. This lioness looks like, I thought for a second she could have been wanting to have a little bit of playtime with her partner there. Thought for a second she might be stalking up to her, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. I think she's just going to flop down next to her. Also avoiding the youngsters who are proving to be a little bit of a nuisance. Sarah, you'd like to know if lions will hunt immediately after making a kill if the opportunity presents itself, and yes, they most certainly will, especially in situations like we've experienced up in Kenya during the migration. There you could get lions making multiple kills without even actually feeding on one within minutes. I saw 2 brothers kill 3 wildebeest in the space of 15 minutes. They didn't feed on one of them. Jamie also had an incredible sighting of a young male catching many wildebeest. So yes, they certainly will. I think we need to get into a better spot though. I'm not leaving Seb the best angles to work with here as this pride of lion make its way down the road. Wonderful. Well, we're going to try and find a way to get in front of the lions, and that way have them looking towards us, and you are going to head back to Taylor, who's still looking for spiders.
There. Don't know if David, did you get those comms? We're live now. I don't know. David was trying to figure out what it's doing. So David was getting some cool footage because, as you can imagine, we need to collect this awesome stuff. So I'm coming to come and have a little look, a little closer. What are you doing? I wonder if it's cleaning itself. Did it look like it ate anything? No, I think it is just cleaning itself. So we're back with the spider with a different one now. There are actually quite a few of them in this little mud wallow, and it would be really amazing to see it catch something, because it's pretty cool how they are able to scamper across the water, all that surface tension, and they're pretty light as well, so that does allow them to stay on top. But no little tadpoles, that's what they'd be eating. I mean, this spider would absolutely love to grab a tadpole, maybe perhaps some mosquito larvae. That might be a small meal though. I think they need a bit more sustenance than that, but they'll just sit very, very still, sort of motionless, in hope that something swims underneath them. I'm sure if the odd grasshopper, and that I'm sure there are plenty of, that leap into the water, a small one would be able to catch that. It's not a very small spider either. I'm trying to figure out how big it is. I reckon the circumference of it will probably be about 5 centimeters or so. So not small at all, and very pretty. We've seen some of them that have got the most amazing coloration. Some have like bits of orange on them, a bit more black and grey. This one is sort of a plain brown colour. But I suppose for murky brown water, that's perfect. It'll allow that thing, or that spider, sorry, to blend in. I'm still looking, and I'm going to move around, I'm still looking for more exoskeletons, because this is one of the most amazing things I've seen. I've seen a lot of, I always see amazing things, which is quite fun. Also frogs. There could be some frogs moving around here, so I'm going to pay very careful attention and look carefully and then call David. Now, Snazzy, as I try not to fall in the water, you're wondering if that spider we were looking at was venomous? No, I don't think so. Maybe to the insects that it's going to be eating, but to you and maybe it'll be a painful bite. I don't know. I've never been bitten by a water spider before, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. And the same goes for the water scorpions too. Probably a painful bite, but not venomous, and it definitely won't be able to hurt you like, say, an olive bark scorpion. So you don't have to worry about them. What you must be careful of course, is perhaps it being a crocodile in the water. But I think I'm just paranoid now because of the Mara, and you see, well, there's crocodiles everywhere. And this would be the perfect spot for a youngster. I'm seeing a lot of scampering on the water. I'm going to run around the other side. This is where that other spider was. But I don't know what was moving around here. Oh, I wonder if it's a water strider that I'm just seeing every now and then. That's what it could actually be. Because I sort of see like a stream. Almost if you're on a jet ski and you took off the wake behind you, how that looked. That's exactly what I saw, but obviously in proportion to a very small insect. So let me have a quick look. I can see the feather again. And I can't see any more exoskeletons. But look how cool they are. What's that? Is that something? No, I found a stick. Don't want to see a stick. I'm letting them dry out now. They're weird looking things. This looks like it should be in a horror movie. Do you know what they remind me of? Horseshoe crabs. Now these are really small ones. Becca, you were wondering how large do water scorpions get? Much bigger than this. And the one we saw in the Mara, if anybody has any screenshots, that perhaps you could pull them up and you could share them with everybody, #SafariLive, or you can share them on the YouTube chat. That was a massive water scorpion. I reckon with its lost it. Oh well. Bon voyage. I reckon with its siphon, that one we saw must have been about that big, because that mascarene grass frog wasn't particularly tiny either. The ones in South Africa that I've seen, actually they're not small. I'm just trying to think. I don't have a measurement in my mind, so I'm going to guess, but maybe somebody can Google and perhaps find out how large water scorpions get in South Africa or Africa. I'm going to guess between 10 and 15 centimeters, somewhere along those lines. I don't think too much bigger than that, but again, you might get some supersized ones in other parts of the world that can get even larger than that. I wonder what the world's largest water scorpion is. There's a fact that I shall try and find out for you. Right, well, we've only done one little section of this wallow. I wonder what's on that edge, so that's where I'm going to go. Scott is sitting with Nkuhuma Pride, and they are licking their chops, seeing as though they've finished dinner.
Yes, they've all kind of laid down for now, but still certainly looking quite alert, and they could get up at any moment, I am hoping. Now, we've managed to thankfully position ourselves in a good spot. We've managed to get ahead of them, so if they do get up and moving again, we will hopefully have them coming straight towards us. But the joy of spending time with these creatures is that they can perform the kind of unexpected. Even though they moved a short distance down this road, they could decide to just get up and move in the completely opposite direction, which one of the lions is actually doing right now. As you can see, one of the youngsters though, but the youngsters we don't have to pay too much attention to, because they will definitely follow the orders and movements of the bigger lioness. So, a beautiful scene though, and I can't believe how lucky we got this afternoon. So, really fortunate start back here at Safari Life for Seb and I after a 2-week break. Jason, you'd like to know if a kind of animal's body language has ever fooled me? And yes, I can think of many examples of myself reading into the body language incorrectly. Having said that though, I mean, it is something that we do get used to out here as guides, and as time goes by and the more experiences you rack up with the different animals, the better insight you get into their behavior. Oh, a Wahlberg's eagle. Is it a Wahlberg's eagle? I'm not too sure what eagle that is. But it looked like, to me, like it could have been a Wahlberg's, a long straight tail, and it seems like it's just swooping around making sure these lions don't have any little snacks for us, although Wahlbergs aren't very well known for scavenging from lions. Always nice to see them floating in and just checking things out, though. What's also interesting is watching the lions' faces now. The lions are all watching that bird very closely, and they just stopped now, but these initial two were watching very closely because they do not like the sight of birds hovering above them, because they know full well that it could be vultures. That will give them a hard time. So yes, Jason, I guess from time to time we'll get surprised by the animal's body language, but 9 times out of 10 it is fairly reliable. Good stuff. We're going to stay put here with these lions. Let's hope that they're up and on the move the next time you come to us. And across to Steve, who's got a bird.
Thanks, Scotty. Yes, body language is everything in the animal kingdom. And I think we are the only species that is able to deceive. We will do things and then pretend you're not looking at someone and then attack them on the left-hand side. Animals don't do that. Their intentions are always very clear. And here we have got one of my favorite birds, and I believe in the studio it's Jared's favorite bird, African hoopoe. And you can tell by this one's body language that it's not that excited. When they get excited, they raise the crest up on the head. But very interesting to see the beak of the bird. And you can tell what they feed on by that beak. You would call this a prober. And these birds, they like to walk around on the ground and feed on all sorts of things. Obviously that beak can go into the soil itself, and after a bit of rain facilitates their probing or their needle-like feeding. as they probe the ground. And interesting, I was just reading, I didn't know it was possible, but they've actually been known to feed on snakes and even lizards and even small frogs. So the beak is a specialized one, but it doesn't mean it limits their feeding capability. If you do not have a specialized beak, you have no way of outcompeting other species. Just like we saw the bee eater before, the shape of their beak facilitates the way that they catch their prey on the wing. There we go. There's the typical hoopoe. I've never seen one stand still for so long. Let's see if he gets excited, or she, and that crest will come up. Very good. There we go. There's the probing. They're looking for any insects that might be on the floor, and when need be, we'll probe the ground looking for worms, even termites in their little holes. Very easy to confuse their track with that of a turtle dove or a dove, the way that they walk. Very zigzaggy sort of pattern on the road. You can quite often see those needle-like marks that the beak makes as they feed. Equalizer, what a great name you have. And you were just saying what a great beak it has. Indeed, marvelous beak. I don't know if you can see just to the left, Sens, it's about to come into picture. We've got a turtle dove. I was just talking about it. Look how they walk, exactly the same. So it's very easy to mistake their tracks. But the turtle dove has got a beak that doesn't facilitate too much specialization. It walks around looking for seeds. But what's quite interesting with your pigeons and doves is they've actually got a specialized oil that coats their eye, which allows them to actually see sand particles versus seed on the ground, which enables them to, it's almost like a polarized sort of shield, which allows them to feed and leave the sand all alone. Otherwise they'll just have a crop and belly full of soil. And they do have a little bit in anyway, but it enables them to actually see the shimmer that the seed doesn't have versus the stone, because most of the pebbles or small stones here are little crystal particles, maybe have some quartz in them or something that will shine, and with a little polarized lens makes it easy for them to see. But you see the little waddle along the ground. It takes a very good tracker to identify the difference between those two. First lady asks a question I'm not sure of. The hoopoe, is the hoopoe related to the woodpecker family? I don't think so. It's part of the hoopoes. Woodpeckers, they do also live in like woodpeckers, they live in burrows in the tree. So they facilitate woodpecker burrows, but they don't really make them themselves. I don't think they're the same family. Very different style of feeding. The woodpeckers and barbets are related, but hoopoes completely all on their own. But I can double check the species name there, but I'm pretty sure it is nowhere near. Yeah. Upupa africana. That's an amazing genus name. Upupa. Nowhere near the barbets or the woodpeckers. But that was marvelous. I've never seen a hoopoe walking around or so close that he doesn't fly or anything. Normally it's very, well, it's easy to see it when you're just birding, but to wait for the camera to come or the link to come, we still got him in the road there. Let's get another visual. See what he's spotted there. He's giving us a marvelous show. Still not excited though. Oops, into the undergrowth he goes. You see the needle-like ability of the head. Constantly moving. Ibises, I think, have got a very similar strategy. A lot of the wading birds with their long beak, apparently they've got a sensory organ on the tip of the beak which enables them to feel and smell and tell all sorts of chemical communication things. Is it meat? Is it not? Is it a plant? Is it an insect? Love to know. Oh, have a little dust bath. Fantastic. There we go. We're seeing some wonderful behavior here. There we go. He's getting excited. Look at the head. The crest has started to, ooh, he likes that. Nice for taking off any extra preen oil that he might have on the feathers. Very important for sand, for dust bathing. Birds will do it quite regularly. It enables, if you've overdone it with the preen oil, it's nice to just rub it off slightly. And you can see how, as soon as he's done it, the head raises to show how excited he is. Oh, it must feel wonderful, all those fine particle grains going into the down feathers on the chest, And he rubs it around. Look at that. Ooh. This is marvelous to see. So clearly he's perfectly relaxed, and we would call this a habituated hoopoe. Senzo chuckles in the background. Take Care asks a very interesting question. Do birds' beaks continually grow throughout their lives? And they do. And they're constantly wearing them down. It's almost like our fingernails, so to speak. They're constantly wearing them down, like hooves on an animal. They're constantly adding on a different layer each time. The name waxbill, a lot of the small finch-like birds that we have, waxbills, the name comes from the fact that there's a waxy layer on the beak that's constantly being replaced as it loses it through abrasion with the soil and from feeding. To what rate and what degree different birds' beaks grow, I have no idea. But I think they reach a certain size. They won't grow any longer than that, but they're constantly adding on layers as layers are being removed, if that makes sense. Because you can just imagine that abrasion on the soil there, day in and day out, the end of it is going to wear down a bit. And if it doesn't grow back, then it's going to look rather funny. Marvellous. Another bird just joined us in the foreground. I wonder if any of you can help identify that. He's about to show in the picture. There he is. Beautiful orange eye. Oops, off he goes. I was overwhelmed in the Masai Mara with the amount of these species up there. Overwhelmed. You can see as he walks there, he's got much bigger stride length. Nice big back toe. It's quite easy to identify the species track. It's definitely a starling. And with the orange eye, I would say it's a Cape glossy starling. Anybody agree with me out there? Love to know. So we are loving it with our birds here who are loving their bushwalk, and we're going to go back over to Taylor McCurdy, who I'm sure is absolutely loving being back on foot in the African wilderness.